Just be advised, it's still active shooter. There's a sniper on the roof.
This is the second time now we've had a shooting at one of our facilities in the Dallas area.
DPD was able to locate the shooter, who was deceased.
It's just got to stop. It's dangerous, and people are losing their lives.
Very busy afternoon as you join us here at 4 on CBS News Texas. I'm Nicole Baker. I want to tell you where we stand at this hour. One person is dead. 2 others are critically injured after what federal officials are calling a pre-dawn sniper attack at the Dallas ICE facility. Police say the suspected gunman is 29-year-old Joshua Jahn, and he took his own life, as you heard there, as officers were closing in. Now, all of this playing around 6:40 this morning when Dallas police say the first call came in as an officer assist at the Dallas facility off of Stemmons Freeway. Just for reference, it's just a few miles west of Dallas Love Field. Investigators do think the gunman was perched on top of an attorney office building right across from that facility. Police have now traced that suspect to Durant, Oklahoma. CBS News Texas flying over this home in Oklahoma where the investigation into that suspector has now led detectives this afternoon. As you can see and hear, this is a very layered and fluid situation. So we've got a team of CBS News Texas reporters just for you covering every aspect of this story. And I want to start with our Ken Molestina live in Dallas. Ken, I know you've been on the scene since this morning, working your sources. What can you tell us this afternoon?
Well, Nicole, welcome in, everyone. Yet again, we are here today talking about what at this point seems to be yet another act of political violence here in our country, this time right here in our own backyard in Dallas. We've been able to move up now a lot closer to the, quite frankly, just right in front of the doorstep to this facility, this ICE detention facility. I can tell you that right now this is still a very active investigation. There are police officials that have locked down this entire area, the front of the building as well as the back of the building. So this is still something that 9 hours into it or so, there are still a lot of pieces of evidence that are being processed here and a lot of questions that are still needing to be answered right now. And investigators, we understand, are trying to get to the bottom of all of it. We've got a lot of information that we're going to get to you here with our team of reporters, as Nicole mentioned, in the next couple of minutes. So we urge you just to keep it locked here with us as we sort of sift through all of this. But we do have some breaking news that we want to report to you right now. This is information that came in just within the last hour. We knew this is a story that was going to be developing throughout the day. So the very latest here, again, the acting director of ICE is now confirming that the suspect is Joshua Jahn. It was an announcement that was made just a little bit ago to the public, and we do have a snippet that we want to play out for you. So have a listen to what the acting director, Todd Lyons, had to say.
I can confirm that name, but I'll refer back to Director Patel and the FBI as they're doing that current investigation right now.
But it does appear that this individual had a criminal history.
I'm being told he did have a criminal history involving some drugs and narcotics.
So back out here live, I can tell you that this is something that officials are going to be looking into now, exactly who is Joshua Jahn, who was Joshua Jahn. We know that he died of a self-inflicted gunshot wounds following the shooting. I've been talking to sources throughout the day, criminologists as well. They say the investigation right now will more than likely shift into an area where they try and find out a motive. They try and see what sort of ideological philosophies this person had, if this person had been radicalized or not, and maybe who some of the associations that he kept were. All of those details play into a possible motive and could possibly sort of shape more details, more facts into what happened out here today. But again, not the kind of day that anybody by any means expected to have today. Certainly not for the folks who were here at this facility, not for the ICE agents, not for the staff members, not for the detainees, or for the countless amounts of people that were showing up here to some early morning appointments to check in with ICE. I want to go ahead and send things over to J.D. Miles right now. He's standing by live with more details of exactly what happened here early this morning and how it all played out. So, J.D., go ahead and fill us in from where you stand. What's the very latest?
Yeah. Well, Ken, as you may notice, most of the media crews are set up outside the front entrance of this ICE office. We decided to come around to the back of the facility so we can show you exactly where this shooting happened. There's a tall gated security fence around the ICE center that you can see here along I-35. but it's open from above, and it was on top of the building next to it where the sniper fired from. Within hours of this attack, authorities say they found unused rounds and shell casings with messages expressing hatred for ICE enforcement actions and mass deportations. But the victims in this are all detainees who are being processed here before heading to detention centers around the state. A family waiting in their vehicle outside the ICE office in Dallas captured the gunshots that rang out before 7 a.m. Homeland Security officials say a sniper opened fire from the roof of a nearby law office into a walled-off courtyard where immigration detainees signed papers before being bused to detention centers.
Today at approximately 6:40 a.m., we received a city officer call. We responded to the call, got to the scene, and we later learned that we had 4 individuals that were shot.
Dallas Police Chief Daniel Como says officers identified where the shots were coming from, but the gunman had committed suicide before they could get to him. The 3 gunshot victims, identified only as immigration detainees, were taken to Parkland Hospital where one of them died and the 2 survivors remain in critical condition. Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson spoke at the scene.
So I'm going to ask you all to join me also in praying for this city, that we can come together at a time like this, and that we can be there for one another the way we always have.
The gunfire caused damage inside and outside the office building. Even though no law enforcement officers were hurt, authorities released a photo of shell casings found at the scene, including one that had anti-ICE written on it.
It is unfortunately just the most recent example we've seen of targeted violence, to include here in North Texas, where back on July 4th, we saw a coordinated attack carried out against an immigration detention center in Alvarado, Texas.
Authorities also revealed today for the first time about another suspected terror plot at this office just last month. A man showed up here with a backpack claiming it contained a bomb. Homeland Security says Bratton Wilkinson showed the security officer what he claimed to be a detonator on his wrist. A shelter in place was issued for the facility. The officer called 911 and local police responded with a bomb squad. Wilkinson was taken into custody by local law enforcement and charged with making terroristic threats. And we will have more on the suspected shooter from today's terror attack in just a moment. As you saw at the beginning of that report, there was a family that was close enough to hear and record those gunshots. They shared their terrifying account with Ken Molestina. I'm going to send it back to Ken now so he can give you their story about what happened. It's Ken.
Yeah, JD, thank you very much, and thank you for the explanation there on your end. You know, you can imagine the kind of fear that those folks were feeling in the moments that those shots rang out, what they were feeling at the moment just before 7 o'clock. The sun hasn't even come out yet, and yet you hear these gunshots. So we're going to go ahead and show you what they had to say about that. The witness who recorded that on her phone. We do want to warn folks that we are going to show a more extended version of this clip. This is something that might be, some folks might find it disturbing. So we just want to give you a fair warning of what you're about to hear and what you're about to listen to. Have a look. About 8 seconds into this clip, you can hear a woman in the back seat speaking in Spanish saying those shots are close. Then you hear some more. The woman who recorded it all is 38-year-old Denisis Robleto. She was here this morning to bring her mother to a scheduled check-in appointment with ICE officials. She says she was waiting outside in her car when the gunfire broke out. She says in the moment she didn't even think of her own kids, but rather her mom, who was inside, all while trying to figure out where those shots were coming from. So many thoughts ran through her mind, she says. She adds, my legs started shaking and my hands too. Robleto says even though she was beginning to panic, she had enough awareness to know the gunfire was coming from an area directly next to where she was parked.
Como en el parqueo también que hubieron disparos, pero no sabíamos si eran los de ICE que estaban respondiendo.
She claims what she didn't know at first was if those shots were aimed at ICE or if ICE was doing the shooting. Investigators say the shooter had perched himself on either the roof or an external fire escape outside of a nearby building before he began shooting down on the ICE facility. Well, I can tell you I have sent that video that you just watched to several firearms experts, all of them confirming that this was in fact a rifle round. The caliber exactly we do not know, but it is believed to have come from a high-powered rifle from this shooter who was sort of perched up in a position just across from that parking lot across the street in that immigration attorney's office building. As we have been mentioning, this story has many layers to it, many locations right now that have become of prime interest to investigators, especially now that we know the identity of this suspected shooter. So to that point, I want to go ahead and send things out to my colleague, Robbie Owens. She's standing by live right now in Fairview. That's out in Collin County. Robbie, that's the scene now where the FBI, I understand, they're fixated, their attention is focused on a home that they're searching there. What's the latest there, Robbie?
That's exactly right, Ken. That suspect, now identified as 29-year-old Joshua Jahn, he was connected to this investigation early because of a vehicle that had been left in a parking lot near that shooting scene. That vehicle is registered here to this quiet cul-de-sac in Fairview. You can see police right now have it blocked. They're only letting residents through. Residents that we have spoken with all tell us that they are simply stunned.
And I heard that there was an incident at the ICE facility and people were killed, and then I came and saw all this, and it's just unbelievable.
Neighbors were not expecting law enforcement to take over their quiet street, but we suspected that it was just a matter of time before investigators turned their attention here. And then just before noon, local Fairview officers blocked the street to clear the way for FBI agents. Minutes later, we saw several pull up and enter the home, and that's where they've been now for several hours. Neighbors we spoke with say the family that lives in that home are Norwegian, have 2 adult sons, and kept to themselves. Still, neighbors are in disbelief that a lethal sniper attack at a Dallas immigration facility could somehow be connected to their community.
It's just shocking because it's right here in our neighborhood, a few houses down, and no idea that such a thing would be being planned or executed or whatever has happened would be happening this close to me at all.
Now, another neighbor told us that the family has lived in this cul-de-sac here for 6 or 7 years, but they really knew nothing about them. We are continuing to look into Joshua Jahn's background, and we'll share what we learn with you ahead in our news at 5. Live in Fairview, Robbie Owens, CBS News, Texas. Ken?
Robbie, thank you very much. Obviously, so much more details to be had and to be coming from your location out in Fairview. My friends, I want to talk a little bit now about some of the victims. We don't know a whole lot of information right now. We know that 3 detainees are the ones that were shot. I did speak to some legal experts, some immigration lawyers that I often speak to when we cover these stories, and they were saying at that hour of the day, more than likely, these were detainees who were arrested during small roundups, small operations, overnight or in the very early hours of the morning, and they were being transferred here to the ICE facility to be processed before being sent out to other long-term ICE detention facilities throughout our area and throughout the state. We know that much. Again, we know that 1 person is dead, 2 of them in critical condition, and some developing news. The Mexican consulate put out a communication just a little bit ago confirming that one of those shot is in fact a Mexican national. Officials with the Mexican consulate confirming that they are working with officials right now to notify family members and to work with them in any capacity that they deem fit at this hour. But to that point of those injured, those hurt, and those shot here, the detainees, I want to send things over to Steve Pickett because Steve Pickett has been camped out outside of Parkland Hospital, not too far from where we are right now, less than a mile away, Steve, and that's where those who were shot were taken to this morning, Steve.
Yeah, both of those shooting victims rushed here to Parkland, Ken, but because they were in what's defined as federal custody, being detained by federal officials, Parkland has declined to provide any information regarding their medical status, referring us to the Dallas Police Department. I can tell you authorities now clarifying, as you mentioned, that 2 shooting victims now listed in critical condition being cared for. Federal agents saying all of those victims were, as you mentioned, detainees, all on that transport transport van that was either arriving and or leaving that particular location. These victims, which was explained to me, I contacted a legal authority regarding this as well, and they mentioned the possibility that some of those individuals may have been in agreement to be sent to Mexico as an agreement for them to be sent out, and possibly that was the process. Again, what we understand here, 2 of those individuals still listed in critical condition. We'll send it back to you.
All right, Steve, thank you very much. Clearly, this is awful news that has now caught the attention of so many people, including local, state, and even national leaders. We want to send things over to Jack Fink. He's standing by live for us now in Westlake. Jack, you have more reaction from Texas leaders, including Governor Greg Abbott, who was there in Westlake earlier this morning and had something to say about that, Jack.
Well, Ken, Governor Abbott called today's shooting unacceptable, and that he basically says this was not only an attack against the federal government, but also the country itself. And I spoke with the governor exclusively this afternoon after an unrelated conference here in Westlake, and he called this an attempted assassination against the ICE agents.
Well, listen, first, it's horrific. Second, we had a shooter here with the intent to kill members of ICE. You remember one of the casing shells that they found said anti-ICE on it. So this was a direct attempt to kill ICE members. The shooter did not know, apparently, that he was hitting other individuals. So any loss of life is bad.
And Senator Ted Cruz appeared at a news conference in Dallas this morning, and he said this was the 3rd shooting against either ICE or Customs and Border Patrol in Texas since early July.
Violence has no place. It is wrong. And we should come together. If we want to have a debate about immigration policies, we can do so in the halls of Congress without demonizing each other.
And other officials are commenting as well. In a statement on X, Democratic Congresswoman Julie Johnson of Farmers Branch said, quote, elected leaders and government officials must rely on verified facts from law enforcement, not speculation that fuels fear or division. My thoughts are with the victims and their families. And Democratic Congressman Mark Vesey of Fort Worth said on X, quote, we do not yet know every fact or the shooter's motivation, but we do know this. Innocent lives were stolen in a place that should have been safe. No one, whether in detention, in uniform, or simply present, should ever have to face the terror of senseless gun violence. Now, Governor Abbott said Texas DPS has been working alongside ICE and that DPS crews were on scene this morning moments after the shooting took place. He pledged state resources in the ongoing investigation. And President Trump posted on Truth Social around 3 o'clock this afternoon that he has been briefed, and he called the words anti-ICE on the shell casing, quote, despicable. Ken?
Yeah, a lot of folks talking specifically about that point, the message that was found on those casings. Jack Fink, thank you very much. Nicole, as we send things back to you in the studio, I can tell you that, again, we are only 9 hours into this investigation, into this incident. So clearly there's still a lot more information that is going to come forward throughout the day, throughout the evening, even in the coming days. But the main thing that we keep hearing from everyone involved, from even investigators here on the scene, folks that I've been speaking throughout the day, and even leaders who've put out public messages, is this idea of the temperature of the rhetoric in this country and how they need things to cool down, because unfortunately what we're seeing is these types of political attacks and violence, things that we're just really not used to seeing in this country, but now it's becoming more and more prevalent. So, Nicole, we're going to go ahead and send things back to you, but surely we are going to keep a very close eye on this story as it continues to develop, and we're going to continue to have a lot more for you here on air and online at cbsnewstexas.com, Nicole.
Yeah, Ken, that was certainly the tone of this morning's press conference when we heard from our local law enforcement and federal law enforcement for the very first time. Thank you all so much. Wonderful team coverage from start to finish. We are going to stay on top of this deadly shooting at the ICE facility in Dallas today. We'll do it on air. We'll do it online, CBS News Texas, Pluto TV, wherever you're streaming. We'll have those updates for you throughout the afternoon and as we continue through the evening.